Hey, all right, so my last video of the day, clearly I'm wearing the same outfit. The last video of the day I'm doing is dividing decimals, which is like, if you hate dividing whole numbers, same situation. But if you watch my dividing whole numbers video, I'm hoping my phone does not fall right now. Okay, cool. If you watch my dividing whole numbers video, same setup, just one extra step. I kind of had to smush everything in at the bottom. But watch my whole number video, it'll help you. Either way, we've got dividing decimals. We start with 50, first in, top in. I explained that more in my whole number video. Number 2. Now, this is the biggest difference from dividing whole numbers to decimals because this is the decimal part. What you want to do is with your outside number, you want to make it a whole number by moving the decimal to the right. So if I had 1.2, I would just have to move the decimal once to the right to make it 12. If I had 0.12, I would have to move it twice to make it 12. What you do to one side, you do to the other. If I move the decimal 5 times on the outside, I move the decimal 5 times on the inside. It's just a math rule. What you do to one side, you do to the other. What you do to the top, you do to the bottom. What you do to the left, you do to the right. Step 3, that's where I put my math hack in. I multiply my outside number by 5 and 10. And then step 4 would be to divide. So here we go. My first question that I'm going to do is I'm going to do 19.8 okay, divided by 2.4. It ain't cute, but guess what? 6th grade math is not cute sometimes. So I'm gonna do 50, which means first in, top in. In this case, I have a first and last number, so my 19.8 goes on the inside and my 2.4 goes on the outside. Okay, I just did first and top in. Now my second step, if you pause that video and wrote those notes down, this is step 2. I have to move this decimal one time to make it a 24. What I do to one side, I do to the other and take that decimal straight up. It's preference. I take my decimal straight up because I can't stand dividing. So by the time I'm done a division problem, I'm like, oh, thank God I'm done with that. And then I forget the decimal. So then my answer is wrong anyway. So I have 24 and now I have 198. And I do 24 times 10 is 240. And then I do 24 times 5 is 120. All right, and this will help me. So 24 cannot equal 1. It can also not equal 19, but 24 can fit into 198. So what I do is I look at this. I'm looking for 198, and I have these two numbers. I have 240 and 120. What number is 198 closer to? 198 is like 200. So it's closer to 10. So that will kind of give me an idea. And looking at this number, it's like 25-ish, right? So 198, which is pretty much 200, is closer to times 10. So my answer is either going to be a times 9 or a times 8. So I go over here and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try times 8. I get 32. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19, and look. Now, even if you tried times 9, think about it. How many of you would be over here like, let's try times 7, oh, and then times 8, oh, times 9. Or you might have done times 7 and you're like, that's way too small. Let me try times 9. And then you do times 9 and then you're like, oh, no, I gotta do times 8. This kind of helps you eliminate that frustration. So I have 192. When I subtract that, I'm left with 6. I'm just gonna erase this. Never erase your work. I'm only erasing it because I need it out of my way. I just have limited space right here. 24 going into 60. Well, this is going to be close to 1. So 24 times, I would have guessed times 3. That's what I did when I first did it. I did times 3. Not that I don't know how to multiply, but just I put my mind in the mindset of a 6th grade student. So I did times 3, and then it was too big. So it ended up being times 2. And 24 times 2 is 48. Okay, and then 60 minus 48 is 12, which I definitely would have had to do that. Well, not really. Add a 0, bring it down. And then sometimes, honestly, you have the answer in there. 120 is 5. And then I'm done. Now, honestly, if I would change anything about my math hack, I would do times 5, and times 9. The reason why I do times 10 is because there's no thinking to it. You can just jot that down quickly. That's why I do times 10 and not 9. If you know your 9 times tables that well, go for it. But I do 10 because all you do is write the same number and add a 0 at the end. And then a lot of times you can split it in half for the times 5. Other times you might have to write it out. All right, next problem and the last problem. I have, this one's a little more difficult. 62.28 divided by 0.72. All right, I hit myself with 50, first in, top in. 62.28 and 0.72. Step 2, I move those decimals. I have to move this twice. What I do to one side, I do to the other. I do 72 times 10 is 720, and 72 times 5 is 360. All right, and here we go. 72 cannot equal 6, and 72 cannot equal 62. You really should put those zeros or x's there, because if you've heard that you have your numbers in the wrong spot, that's gonna mess your decimal up. 72 fits into 622. Think about it. 622, is it closer to 360 or 720? Yeah, it's closer to 720. So with this problem, you have to determine, do I think it's going to be times 9 or times 8? Because 72 is like pretty close to 100, right? So 622, 720. A lot of kids would guess times 9. So if I did it times 9, 9 times 2 is 18, 63, 64, right? If I did that times 9, I would get 648. It's too big. So it's definitely 8. And 72 times 8 is 576. I just don't want to put up like a 10-minute long video. So 576. And when I subtract that, I get 46, and I bring down my 8. So now I have 468. And the good thing is I have more numbers. 468 is much closer to 5 than it is 10. And I already have my times 9 and times 8. 468 and 8 is over 100 more. So it's probably going to be times 6. And when I do 72 times 6, I get 432. So it's times 6. Now, nobody said this was going to be easy. It's just the times 10 and the times 5 makes it easier. And then here we go. Another situation where we already have the answer with our times 5. 72 times 5 is 360. I really hope this helped you guys out. If not, but times 10 and times 5 will help with frustration. Bye.